topic is role expectations, and the first thing I kind of want to talk about is the feminine versus masculine society. And as we all know, masculine society is more focused on the masculine sides of life, the work and that kind of thing, whereas feminine is more focused on kind of the general good type work. So I found a website called Geert Halstead, and that is where I found this information. I just wanted to cite that source because it was where I found all of this, and I found it very interesting how they scale things because they actually have it for lots of different countries. So the Geert Halstead, basically rates different aspects of life and gives you whether the society is masculine or feminine, and actually they just give you a score of masculinity, which then determines whether it's masculine or feminine depending on how high the masculinity number is. If you have a higher masculinity number, then it's going to be more of a masculine society, whereas if you have a lower masculinity number, it's going to be more feminine. And Finland actually has a 26, which means they are very feminine. So as far as children are concerned, children in Finland are actually very, very lucky in my opinion, because they are for the most part, the general idea is that they're encouraged to be very individualistic, very artistic, to be very expressive. When their school system is very interesting. I spoke a little bit about that earlier because it's very different. They basically take a lot of what the U.S. does and do the opposite, which, has actually proven them pretty well. They have one of the highest school systems in the entire world. So, for example, when they're kids, they're all put in the same class. There are no special ed classes. Everyone is taught the exact same things as children. And 30% of all children receive help in their first 5 years of schooling, which I thought was very interesting because that seems kind of unheard of here. The only kids who really get a lot of extra help are kids who are considered special needs. And I thought that was very interesting. So there also are laws in Finland against corporal punishment. You're not allowed to hit your children whatsoever. I mean, obviously, it probably still happens. Of course it does. But I'm not even talking so much as an abuse. Like when I was a kid, I got spanked all the time, and that is technically considered illegal in Finland. You are not allowed to lay your hands on your child at all. And again, it probably still happens, and I don't think unless it's like child abuse, I don't think they go out of their way to like arrest people for it if it's spanking or that kind of thing. However, it is illegal and it is very, very frowned upon in society. It's also very interesting in their school systems because children are not given any homework until they reach the 9th grade, if they're given homework then. And that's very different than what we have here in America, as well as they don't have any standardized testing whatsoever except for one standardized test when children are 16 years old, which I thought was very interesting. Children do move out kind of around the same time we do. It depends on where they are at life, because sometimes they'll move out when they get a job, if they're going to further their education past just general education, and if they're getting married. Those are kind of the 3 coming of age that they move out on. As far as homosexuality is concerned, it is considered legal, although marriage isn't legal, it's considered a different type of partnership. So you're married, but it's not called married, it's called like a union, I believe. And if you are homosexual, you can only adopt what would be your partner's child, so your stepchild. That's the only type of adoption that is allowed. And I found it really interesting. I don't believe they pursue it at all, if ever. But conversion therapy is still legal, which if you don't know, conversion therapy is therapy to make gay people straight, essentially. That's dumbing it down a lot, but I thought it was very interesting that they are fairly progressive in Finland about homosexuality, and yet they still have conversion therapy. Conversion therapy is still legal. Divorce actually is legal, and I found it very interesting as a child of divorce because they allow only one partner to file for divorce. So like if I was married and I wanted a divorce, I could file for divorce and my husband would never have to sign the papers, which I thought was very, very interesting and very different. And I can't quite comprehend how that would work, because does the other person know that you're not married anymore? It's very interesting. So that is sort of the expectations and roles of people in Finland.